Hola, amigos, and welcome back to another episode of La Vida Verde podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Human, here at Finca Vida Verde. My guest today is Lucia Kuster, not Custer, Kuster. And she is a mother. She is a culture bridger. She teaches Spanish to our local expat community and also yoga to the local tico community. She is a women's circle facilitator, and she is originally from Guatemala in Chela, and she is the wife of our previous guest photographer, Florian Kuster. We're gonna have a great conversation. We hope you enjoy. Lucia Kuster.
Hola.
Bienvenidos. Welcome to La Vida Verde podcast.
Thank you, Human.
She's so nervous right now. It's okay. This is gonna be the easiest conversation you've ever had. Thank you for coming. Okay, so just so you all know, Lucia drove her amazing little car up the road. It's not 4x4. It's very little, but there was miscommunication. So there was this is how we started our day, but it's gonna get easier from here on out. Deep breaths. There we go. We're drinking our Wani Lama. Okay. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you.
Yes. Did you wake up? Did your day start with this kind of energy, or was it a very easy wake up morning?
It was a little bit nervous, thinking, I have to be there. I have to come to this interview.
It's okay. No, it's gonna be super. It's okay. So, anyways, well, let's just start because once we get going, it'll be easy. You're from Guatemala.
Yeah.
What part of Guatemala?
I'm from Shela. Have you been there?
Yo, everybody, what's happening? This is Humano. Guys, thank you, everybody who's been watching this podcast. I want to invite you to join our Patreon, patreon.com/La Vida Verde podcast. We are looking for ways to build our community. We have a lot of great content on there, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. It helps fund this program so we can keep having great guests, great conversations. Go check it out, patreon.com/La Vida Verde podcast. Pura vida. I've never been to Shela or Guatemala.
Well, Shela is a little town in the mountains. It's 3,200 over sea level.
Oh,
We are very high.
3,200 meters?
Yes.
Wow, that's like almost 9,000 meters or 9,000 feet.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's beautiful.
It's going to be cold.
It is very cold.
Oh my
It is
gosh.
cold all year long, and you can have the view of the coast. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful place, magical. The Spanish decided to build the city there because it was the one big city of the Native Americans.
Ah, it was an old native
Yes.
Guatemalan city.
It's called Xelajuhnoch.
Xelajuhnoch. And who were the native people of Guatemala? Mayans, right?
Yes, descendant of the Mayas, Quiches. In Xela, Maya Quiche.
Maya Quiche, that's the name of the tribe.
Yes,
Oh.
that's the name of the group. There are more, 24 groups only in Guatemala, of different groups with their own language and their own. Well, they are all descendants of the Maya, so the root is the same.
Oh, interesting.
It's
And the
beautiful.
languages are different, though.
Some words
the
and
root.
some words are different, and
Okay.
some how to pronounce them are a little bit different.
Interesting.
But they understand each other. It's like Spanish, like the Spanish from Mexico or Spanish from Argentina.
It's
you
similar
understand
enough.
exactly.
Oh, interesting. So that's a different dialect, kind of.
Exact.
Cool. That's awesome. And did you grow up learning about the culture, that indigenous culture, or were you was it more traditional kind of?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. Because I grew up in the city, and all of most of my family come from Spain. So I grew up as a mixture of Spain culture, but it's very different. We are separated. Like I grew up as with this separation. Like the indigenous traditions are that, and we are like this, and we do this.
Oh,
This
interesting.
so it's so sad.
Did you
Honestly.
recognize that when you were a kid? Did you recognize how sad that was?
Yes. I did at the age of 9, like or even younger. I was telling my mom, but how can we don't like eat together? How can you don't tell me about what the meaning of the colors and what the meaning of the
Is this a
clothes?
Guatemalan shirt?
Well, no, that's from Chiapas.
Oh, okay, that's from Mexico, right?
Yes, it's from Mexico.
But it's very close.
But it's Mayan.
Mexico and Guatemala are very
The
pegado, right?
Mesoamerica starts at the south of Mexico and it ends in Guanacaste. So the Mayan territory
Uh-huh.
is that big, like southern Mexico until Guanacaste.
Like the Chorotega people, were they part of that?
Yes,
family?
yes,
Oh,
some
that's
of them. So it's
Marcela's Chorotega. We had Marcela on the podcast one time. So that's
wow.
interesting. Well, that's really cool. I love this. A beautiful design. It's very colorful, very like, yeah, it's totally not like I wear all black. Someone told me the other day, they're like, I was wearing something colorful and they're like, Human, I've never seen you wear colors before. I don't know, it's easier for me, but it's beautiful. And okay, so interesting. So you kind of recognize that, but your family's from Spain. What do you mean? Your parents are from Spain, or are you just traditionally, culturally?
Culturally, like great grandparents from Spain, and they will
Great-grandparents.
tell the stories. Like my family, like from my mom, they come from Catalonia, and from my dad, they come from Andalusia,
Oh,
and they will tell
but they still identify with it.
yes,
Yeah.
in somehow, like um, when the invasion occurred, the indigenous were slaves that were so. If nowadays you recognize part of the slave culture, it's like nobody wants that. You know what I mean?
No.
Like when the Spaniard invasion came,
Uh-huh.
they put all of the
In-
indigenous culture and all of the
Into slavery.
yes, and underneath,
Okay.
like they eat chia. Oh, chia is
People don't want to
awful.
identify with it because it's seen as second class. I
Exactly.
see.
So historically, it's been second class. So like what my family was trying to do, and all the society there is like, oh, we are not part of the second class. We are the first.
I've heard that kind of here too, actually. I remember like talking to Rose and Gustavo a long time ago, and speaking of Rose and Gustavo, there's a bee. These are Gustavo's bees. They told me like there was still, even here in Costa Rica, there was this thing where like, especially maybe not now it's so present, but there was a time when being the color of your skin, the whiter that you were, the more like kind of higher class you were. You didn't want to be darker skin, so they were trying to breed out the darker. I just think that's so interesting because really, especially right now, having darker skin you have a better chance of survival.
Yes.
Like,
And it's
lighter
so
skin.
beautiful.
Yeah, of course. Look at it. We got little tan skin babies. Well, you're Spanish. I'm Italian. So we're similar. Okay, interesting. So you grew up in a city. How many? Like a big city, small city?
No, it's the second city of Guatemala, Shela. But
It's the second biggest city.
yes,
Wow.
but what we have in Guatemala is centralization. So you have the capital city, which is like 3 million people, or
Yeah.
and then and then Shela, that is about like 200,000
200,000. So
So
3
the
million in the
difference,
city.
exactly, the difference is
The biggest city is 3 million something people. The second biggest city is 200,000.
exactly.
Wow.
So for us, we always say like we are in a city, but if you talk to a capitalino, it's like other besides the capital is town. It's a little town.
Right. I
And
like those little towns. Those are my favorite kinds of cities, actually. I
it's
prefer
it's a
them.
small city.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
small city of students. It's so
It's because of university or something.
excited. There are the main universities are there, and because it's at the west of the country, so you get all of the people from south and north in the west. So all of the students come every year. We also have the best high schools, so the young students come and
Oh.
live in Shela, and they learn, and then they go to university in Shela.
Ah.
it's a student.
It's amazing. I've never even heard of Shella. It's so crazy. Like, this is how like limited my U.S. brain is. It's like I don't know anything about Latin America. All I know, United States is the best. What are you talking about, Shella, bro? Just kidding.
So, and I want to tell you, it's also a city of to learn Spanish. We have a history of Spanish schools
Oh, interesting.
and
Who comes there to learn Spanish?
people from all over the world, like Europe, Australia.
Specifically to learn Spanish.
Because it's a student city and it's
Oh.
small and it has everything. It has people like live there. It's great. That's why I met Florian. You know, he came to learn Spanish to
Right,
the school,
right,
to the
right.
Spanish school.
And you're speaking of Florian Kuster, who I've always called Custer, but Lucia is a linguist, and so she reminded me that it's Kuster, who's been on our podcast. He's our photographer, and he swore a lot when he was here. I just want to tell you that. I'm just kidding. Actually, he didn't. Actually, I just kind of been. That's my joke with him. Is like because I think in the promotion we used a part where we were swearing a lot. We're just we're like same age group. How old are you?
41.
Oh yeah, we're similar in age. 40, 44. I'm sorry, you should never ask a woman her age.
It's okay.
You don't care.
I feel that every year I am wiser and better. So I really like my gray hairs.
Oh, you have a few.
I have a few,
yes.
but those are my treasures.
No, yeah, me too. I know. I feel the same way whenever I get one. I'm like,
Exactly.
oh, I earned this.
And I'm asking people to call me señora.
Oh.
Call me señora, please.
Not doña.
Well, also,
Doña señora.
but not girl, not
Señorita.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not that. Like I
Yeah.
already have experience. I know my thing. I know where
I'm
I'm
a
going.
señora.
Exactly.
And
Please.
you and Florian met there, and you traveled. I remember he said you traveled through South America.
Yes.
And then you landed here. Did you have the kids here or
No, they were born in Switzerland.
Oh, right. You went back to Switzerland, and he was working for Maersk at that point.
Yes.
And then you had the kids.
Exactly. And I learned German.
You learned German.
It was yeah.
Du sprichst du Deutsch?
I kann Deutsch. Wir können auf Deutsch sprechen, wenn du möchtest.
Ich bin eine Süßkartoffel mit Pilzen. That's the extent of my German. I just said I am a sweet potato with mushrooms. And I can say, are you hungry? I can say, du bist hungrig? Ich bin eine Süßkartoffel mit Pilzen. Are you hungry? I'm a sweet potato with mushrooms. That's exactly. Okay, so you learned German. You speak it like fluently?
Yeah, well, I can have a conversation.
Did you understand what I just said?
Yes.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Your accent is a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
But
it's
I could
horrible.
understand. I could
It's
understand.
horrible. I dated a German once. That's
That's all the
it's
German you
what
have.
it takes, I guess. But that's how you learned, right? I mean, you
Yes.
dated a German,
Yes.
Swiss German fella. And okay, so then you moved here, and you were living in Ecovia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or no, you started in Maderal, and then you moved to Ecovia.
No, we lived 1 year in Grecia,
Grecia.
and then we moved. When we were in Grecia, we heard about Ecovilla, and we came to visit, and we loved it.
Yeah.
So we moved to Ecovilla,
Yeah.
but now we live in Maderal because we are very close to Ecovilla.
Yeah, it's super close.
Yes, and it's beautiful. We have the
I love your house
view,
view.
and it's up the hill, so it's a little fresher.
Mm-hmm.
I really
Where
like
it's cold. I mean, yeah, he's from Switzerland where it's cold. You're from
Um,
Cella where it's cold.
Yes.
You guys, I'm surprised you're not in Chiripo, to be honest.
Well,
Did
we
you
have
like it?
we have thought about it, like the but we're here.
Okay, good. You deal with the climate. The kids are probably acclimated to here by
Yeah.
now. So,
Yeah.
And you have 2 children.
Yes.
Your oldest is what? She's like
She's gonna
13,
be she's gonna be 14 this year.
14. And
Santiago is 12.
12. Wow. I remember when that kid was such a little punk when he was a kid, man. Santiago gave me such trouble. He was just that kid, and now he's so sweet, actually. It's funny how that is. Like, the kids when they're sometimes, it's like Ilan too, Ilan Balanci. That kid used to be such a little punk. Santiago and Ilan were like the bane of my like. Those two gave me such trouble, and now they're both like really sweet, like kind of mature
Yeah.
kids. They got it out of their system.
Time passes.
Time passes, and they both went to the Casasula.
Yes.
What was Casasula,
Yes.
and is now the World School, Real World
Yeah,
School.
real world school.
Are
Yes.
they still in the Real World School?
No, now they switch. Like we decided to make the switch to the traditional education.
Oh, so they go to the local school.
Yes, they go to the local school.
In Maderal.
Santiago goes to the ¿cómo se dice? Public school in Maderal, and Victoria goes to the private school in Orotina.
Ah, okay, cool.
Yeah. So we wanted to integrate more, and we like since they are already past their elementary level, like after 12, you're more mature to really learn things and start reading and all that kind of stuff. So we thought it's perfect.
No, it sounds great. They got the best of both worlds.
Exactly.
They got the creative start, and then now they're gonna get a little bit of what it's like to be in a public school.
Yes, yes. And we are there with them for this new experience, which I think is gonna make them good.
Yeah, and also like getting to know another community. Like
Oh yes, that's the main thing.
this
Like
community is kind of insular sometimes. Like it can be a little small.
yeah. So they have a lot of friends. There
Yeah.
are people their age. It's
I
good.
feel like when you get to that age, 12, 13, 14, 15, you want more social.
Yes.
I didn't like that was high school for me. It was just a big social experiment. I didn't learn anything other than I just like I don't remember any algebra, but I remember that girl that I met. You know what I mean? Or like I remember every fight I got in or every like argument, but anyways. Okay, moving on. So speaking of so this kind of leads into the culture bridging, which is like when I asked you what do you identify as, that was kind of what you expressed to me as your culture bridger. And you said, so I know that you teach Spanish to the expats. That's how you're kind of mostly known in our community.
Yes.
What inspired you? What inspired you to get into that? Did you study this?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I grew up in Shela, and my family was part of a Spanish school project.
Oh.
So when I was 9 years old, the whole world came to my home. We were host family.
Okay.
So I started seeing how they were learning Spanish in my house and practicing and all that stuff. And I started open my curiosity for different cultures, for different ways to do the same thing, And these foreigners came and asked very interesting questions like, why do you do that? Why do you go to church every Sunday? And nobody asked me that before, and I've never asked that before,
Why do you go to church every Sunday?
For example, like
Why do you go to church every Sunday? No, I'm just kidding.
Things like that, that I start questioning everything. Things that I was doing, like, oh yeah, that's true. Why am I doing this? And what does it mean to me? It's not because only I repeat everything. So that was amazing. So that opened my eyes, and when I graduated from high school, I started traveling.
Okay.
My mom is also a Spanish teacher.
Okay.
So
it's a family business.
Yes, it is. So when I was in university, teaching Spanish was a very good job to get along with all the university thing. My major is social studies for social services for rural areas in Guatemala.
Oh.
So I study a lot of anthropology, history,
Oh, yeah.
cultures.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
Oh, I love it.
And while I was doing that, I teach Spanish. I did the certification and teach Spanish in the school and was happy with it. I could manage both.
Okay. Oh, that's so cool. And then, of course, living here in Ecovia, where, I mean, there was a point. I mean, when I moved here, there was 4 of us who spoke English, and then everyone else spoke Spanish, and it was hard for me. I had to learn that way. Like, I had to learn by just doing it. Well, I mean, like the ticos that were part of our community were also spoke English. The Christian and Gina and Rosa and Gustavo, and they spoke good English. So I didn't have to speak Spanish with them, but to work with the local community, I had to. I mean, there was just no other way. Nowadays, I think people move here, and there's so many English speakers around here now that you can easily live here without
Yes.
ever speaking Spanish. But that's not okay. It's like, I mean, it's okay. It's fine, I guess, in a certain way. But it's also like, if you want to understand the culture that exists here, you have to learn the language.
Yes.
It's like the language is, and you can attest to this, I'm sure. As I've started to understand the language, I also understand the frame of the culture. It's
Exactly.
like so completely, almost a different way of looking at the world.
Exactly. That's what languages are.
Yeah.
Like a different perspective, a different way of saying things. And if you say it that way, you think that way and you feel that way. It's like that. And as you said, it has been very hard for me to teach Spanish here because you don't see the progress as I saw it in Guatemala because
Right.
they are not immersed in
They're
this
not forced.
in the Spanish culture. So it's very little, like the steps are very little steps because like, yeah, I don't know, 1 or 2 hours a week is not enough.
Right. Right. And do you have regular hours or do you just do private classes?
I have groups. I have 2 groups in Alegría with 2 levels and 3 levels in Ecovilla. I have
Wow.
an intermediate level I'm very proud of.
who you don't want to tell me?
Yes,
Say, who's
Sasha, Ian. They were with me from the beginning, and now they are intermediates. They are both intermediates. Ian,
Ian inspires Ian?
yes.
Ian and Sasha are two of your best students?
Yeah, well, the ones that have been with me the most time.
Wow. And are they all in the top now? They're all in
Yes,
level 3?
they are in intermediate
Good job,
now.
Sasha and
They're-
Ian. We just had Ian was our last guest on the podcast. Good job, Ian. We're proud of you. Sasha, real proud of you. Yeah, so good. And are they kind of, yeah, well, Ian's wife is Daniela, is our partner, is Mexican. So he gets a lot of opportunity to practice. Sasha, not so much. Her husband is German. I don't know that he speaks Spanish or not, but
Yeah, but they try like every time they practice, and I've seen their
improving.
improvement.
Yeah. That's amazing. Where did you learn English, by the way?
In high school, I start, but
They
languages.
teach English in Guatemala?
Yes, languages were always easy for me. You know, like I also like programming because it's a language, like it's the language of the computer.
You do computer programming?
I really like them. I like it. I don't do it, but I start liking this, and so when I start traveling, I after I graduated from high school, I spent 1 year in Minneapolis.
Okay.
And then I went to Canada for some cultural exchanges, and practiced a lot.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Great. So you got a lot of English. Yeah. Wow. And Minneapolis is, well, they talk like this. Yeah. Or a. It's a really weird accent.
They are
Eh?
very nice people.
I
very
know.
nice
Well, they're all
people.
very nice, of course. Canadians too.
Yes.
They're very nice people. And you also, okay, so you teach Spanish to our local expat community. But you don't teach English to you're specifically teaching Spanish.
Yes.
You feel
yes,
more comfortable doing
yes.
that. Yeah. But your English is quite good.
Well, yeah, I did some teaching in English for basic, like the basic stuff, and since you learn that language, you know how people will think at the beginning.
Yeah.
So I did some of that,
Okay.
but now I just focus in Spanish.
But you teach yoga,
Yes.
another language,
Exactly.
to the local ticos.
Yes. Yes.
So like, what is that like? When you got here, was there like people that had a base knowledge of yoga and you kind of just helped kick it back up, or did they know? Was there like people who were just like, "What's yoga?"
Mostly were like, what's yoga? Like asking, what is this? How? But since yoga is now more like famous, no,
Popular.
Yes. So they had the curiosity. So, what is it? I want to try it. so they start coming to the class, and now I have a group of women. We once a week we get together in Orotina.
Where do you
and
teach?
we practice. There is a clinic, a physiotherapist clinic in Las Palmas, Residencial Las Palmas, behind, ¿cómo se llama? Killer Monchis.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
There's a studio space back there?
Yes,
Oh, no, I didn't
it's
know
beautiful.
that. I don't know that area.
It's
I've never
beautiful.
been to. Isn't it? It's crazy. Orotina is this interesting little town with all these little spaces. I've been here for 16 years, and I'm still exploring new parts of that town, like little enclaves of like. I just found the park, the skate park. I was like, I mean, I didn't know how to get there, and then I finally went past the Oijota, and I'm like, where does this road go? And I followed it just out of curiosity. I'm like, oh, that's how you get to this place. Because you always see it on the highway. Anyways, that's really cool. And what age group are they, like?
They are women and around our age.
Okay, 40s,
Yeah.
50s maybe?
30, but there are
30.
some
Younger.
Younger.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. And you found very receptive that
Yes.
they keep coming?
Yes, they keep coming.
Wow.
They keep coming.
I think it's interesting I think about this often, like people, no matter where you come from, if you can speak Spanish when you come here, you have a totally different experience. Because as I know this, because as I've started learning Spanish, I'm starting to integrate more and understand how that works more. But I came from that English background, not speaking Spanish, and I had that experience too. But watching somebody come in here, like, even like, like somebody who hasn't spoken much Spanish in years, if you understand it, you can communicate in a way. It's like there's, how do I say this? There felt to me like there was a natural division between me and them, because I couldn't understand them. So I felt separate. But if you just come in here speaking Spanish, you can integrate immediately.
Yes. Yes.
And you can start hosting classes. Like, I have all these offerings I could be doing to the local community, but my Spanish is like,
Exactly.
not quite good enough at that level. But if you can come in here with like, I start teaching courses to these people.
Yes, or sharing, make spaces to share, and then know them, like get to know them.
Exactly. Yeah. Do you the more the language, like, that's one thing about the language thing I think is really fascinating, is the more you speak other languages, the more you realize how much we actually just have in common. Like, those
Exactly.
the little differences are smaller, and it's like, oh, actually, because I remember thinking like, oh, what's that guy talking about? Like, I wonder if he's talking about me. Like when you don't know what somebody's saying and you're like, it's all in your head what you think they're saying. It's like, I bet he's talking shit about me. I bet he's gonna try and take my money or whatever it was. All the little things
whatever.
it's so. Anyways, Lucia, come learn Spanish with Lucia Kuster.
Yeah.
Is it Lucia or Lucia?
Lucia.
Lucia Kuster.
Lucia Kuster.
And how can people get a hold of you?
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp?
Mm-hmm.
And what if they don't live locally? You have a website? Do you have a Instagram?
No.
All right, if you want to get a hold of Lucia Kuster, contact me at on La Vida Verde podcast, or Humano at Finca Vida Verde.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to share with the people before we go?
Thank you, human.
This has been great.
Yes, I know.
Are you less nervous now?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. It's so easy. All right. Thank you, Lucia Kuster. This is La Vida Verde podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Human. We release episodes every Tuesday. Oh, on YouTube, I forgot to say thank you to Eco Teas Yerba Mate for keeping me charged. This is it's early morning here. And thank you to my Guatemala for keeping Lucia calm. You can find us on Instagram at Finca Vida Verde CR. We are on Facebook at Finca Vida Verde. Don't forget to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/La Vida Verde podcast, where we get behind the scenes extras, all the fun little kind of things. And it also helps support us, keep us going. You can check out my website, fincavitaverde.com, our website, fincavitaverde.com. And we're on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. I know I'm way out of order here. I'm super frazzled in this moment. The sun feels really nice on my skin, though. We'll see you next time. Pura vida.